Hi everyone, welcome to Wealthy Mindset. My name is Oliver. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys are having a great day like always. In today's video, I'm going to be covering GameStop for April 9th trading day, giving you guys the lows and the highs like always by analyzing the graph. Now, quick disclaimer before I begin though. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a professional. And everything I do share with you guys is just my opinion. It is not advice. So please do not buy or sell based off the information I give you or the opinions I do form. Now, before I get to the graph, I'm going to go with some fundamentals in terms of GameStop, and recently stated that they're going to sell $1 billion worth of stocks. The gaming retailer can sell up to 3.5 million shares, and instead it intends to use the new funds to accelerate transformation plans of an activist board led by Ryan Cohen. So that's good news. That's awesome. There's pros and cons to this. So when a company dilutes your shares, so essentially what they're doing is they're introducing new shares to a set amount. So the company has a certain amount of shares at the moment, and then when they introduce new shares, the valuation technically extends more with those new shares, right? Now, technically, if the stock goes higher, it's better for everybody in terms of GameStop, because let's just say the stock went to $1,000 a share, right? At $1,000 a share, they could only sell or issue 1 million new shares, right? Because 1 million shares times $1,000 a share equals $1 billion. So in terms of the long term for the company, this is a good move. This is awesome, raising capital. In terms of the short term, hypothetically, when it comes to dilution, it's not really awesome for shareholders, but there is a silver lining a little bit, because it won't be an issue fully, is because if we go here to the stats in terms of financial side, so this is for GameStop, and if you see a share shorted right about here, it says it's roughly about 44%. Now, this is as of March 15th. The strange part, though, is 44% of 45 million is roughly about 20 million. For some reason, it's showing 10 million shares are being shorted here. So I think there's something's off here. I don't know what it is. But either way, it's either 10 or 20 million shares that are being shorted. And if they sell 3.5 million shares, then the people shorting their shares could cover and then buy off those 3.5 million shares, or whatever it might be. The share price already technically dropped off the news, and technically those shares will be bought up depending on how the shorts play off the scenario, because the longer they hold their short position, the more they pay off with interest, like they pay for interest and stuff like that. So I don't know what their plan is, but we'll see. But overall, technically it's a good move. The only downfall is your shares will be diluted, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad play for the way the company is going to need to move forward. Now, like always, I'm going to cover the upside just in case if we go catabolic to the upside, and the downside as well in case it starts tanking, just because we don't know for tomorrow morning in case if some awesome news comes out or some detrimental news comes out. And I don't necessarily think anything crazy is going to happen tomorrow. I think it's just basically going to somewhat a little bit stabilize / maybe a little bit go down, a little bit go up, and I'm going to explain further. But we have, if in case you're a new viewer, upward trend support line dating back since September 2020 right here, and then upward trend support line dating back since December. So held us through here, held us through here. We have a downward trend resistance line dating back since all-time high of January 28th, and then peaked at right here for March 10th right here. So these are going to be more of the extreme play for the both spectrum of the extreme play up and down. Plus we have a horizontal support level right here. And again, this is for more of the extreme side. Now, I think it's going to be around this ballpark for tomorrow. If we zoom in closer, we have a downward trend resistance line right here, and we have a downward trend support level right here, and then a resistance level right here, but that's going to act as support. So these are going to be both support. This is probably going to be resistance more than anything. Potentially support, but more resistance. We're below all three moving averages, so that's not a good sign. MAC line's in the negative, so that also is not a good sign, but it looks like it's curving to the upside, so hopefully it does. Now, the thing is though, right at this level right here, we have support, so hopefully we hold through and bounce back up to the upside, because at the moment, this downward trend resistance line right here, by the way, just in case if you don't, here's a touch points, there's multiple touch points. We had false breakouts, unfortunately did not solidify them, bounced off of support, could not do it, and false breakout as well, just came back under, unfortunately. So if we stay under these are the plays I think could happen. We could either stay under and then close off the day at basically the 162 price point, $162. If you want to basically think that it's going to hug the downward trend resistance line all the way to the end of the day, then you're looking at $166. But I don't think it's going to be that quite clean exactly. I would say it would be 164, 162 if you think it's going to hug this downward trend resistance line. Now, if you think it's going to trickle down to this downward trend support line right here, and the reason why I state that is because like you could almost see where it's like, yes, I had a false breakout here, but there's a couple times where it bounced off, like primarily here. So went to the upside resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance, and like maybe coming back down. So if you think it's going to do that till the end of the day, you're looking at closing at pretty much $149 at the end of the day. But hopefully it goes to the upside. Now I'm going to go through the horizontal levels, and I'm going to go with a little bit more extreme. Actually, just in case, if you think this downward trend resistance line right here that acts as support a couple times, like for example, right about here, acted as support. If you think it's going to go that low too as well, then you're looking at close at the end of the day, closing at the $139, $140 price point. I would specifically think it would be 140, but let's go through the levels. So for the upside, if you think it's going to start going to the upside, you would have to pass the 172, 174. Then after that, you have horizontal resistance levels that could act as support, but it's 177 to 176. And then you have 189 to 126. Now, I don't think you're going to pass the 126 whatsoever for tomorrow. You need good news because there's quite a bit of resistance at 226. The only thing is though, I think there's a chance you could close at 189. And the reason why I say that is you have the three moving averages. So pretty much at the 179, there's resistance at the $179 price point. If you wanted to pass the first two moving averages, then the other one is 182, 183. But I think you would get stuck, and then hopefully, if you do get stuck, hopefully at least close to 189, because there's quite a bit of resistance at that horizontal level. So $189. If you do pass it, you'll be pretty much consolidating between 189 to 226. Maybe not even consolidating. It could just be a false breakout to the upside and come back down. That could suck, but hopefully you guys consolidate, because once you pass 226, you could start going up to 257, 254 price point. Now, I don't think you guys will get to that level yet. I think it's more like baby steps for tomorrow. And if you're completely optimistic, I'm just going to read the highest level right here. So yeah, okay, that's what it was. Okay, because I was pretty sure that's what it was, but just in case. So to pass this, you need to pass basically $257. So just in case I didn't cover it, downward trend resistance line from the all-time high, January 27th, January 28th, and March 10th as well, peaked right there. So if you wanted to pass this downward trend resistance line, which you actually need to, you need to pass 257. And I would say you need to pass it for sure, because it could technically be a little bit of a small false breakout. But I think 257 would be a good point. To, like, once you pass that, it would be a good sign. But between 254 and 257, depending on when you meet it though too, by the way. And after that, we have to cover the downside. But essentially, if you're optimistic, you could think 189. If you're not necessarily optimistic to the upside, then I think you'd be closing between these right about 189, between 178 to 189, depending on these resistance levels. These would be keeping you down. But like I stated earlier, if you think you're going to hug it all the way down, you'll be closing at 167, 166. I know I said 166, but I should have covered the upside of the downward trend resistance line as well. So 166 to 168 between there by the end of the day. Now, if you're thinking to the downside, you have support at 162. I guess I should include 164. I don't know what the significance of that was. I should have double checked it. I apologize. But 162, there's support. Then you trickle down to the 155, 150, between 155 to 150. There's quite a bit of good support there that I don't think, maybe you might not hug all the way down to this level. But again, if you do, you're looking at the price points that I mentioned earlier, 149. If you go lower than that, you have quite a bit of support between 143 to 147, ultimately at the 140 as well. Then you have the 135, which I mentioned. Oh, sorry about that. Then what you have ultimately, if you come down here, is 139. Now, personally think that's going to be in play tomorrow. That would be pretty drastic, but if you do go lower than the 139, you're looking at the 136 to 130 price point. Ultimately, I think I saw from 135 to 136. Now, just to show things, like for example, there's touch point here, touch point right about here. So like just to make sure, there's more touch, like these lines have touch points, just to let you know. We have $125 to $126. Hopefully that would be the lowest. There's a horizontal support there. And now if it drops dramatically, I didn't put too much details into this one because I don't believe it's gonna play, like it's not gonna play for tomorrow. But in case if it does, there is horizontal support between 119 to 118. Technically all the way from 119 to between 112 as well. We have the horizontal support right here at like sitting at pretty much $116, give or take. And then we have again support at 112. I don't think it's gonna start breaking any lower than that, but in case if it does, we have the support right here from I think it was like 111 to 116. And then we have the bottom support from 108. I think it was like I think when I measured it was 105, 106, but either way, let's just say 108 all the way to 115. And then again, I personally don't think it's going to go lower than this level, 105, 106, 108, just because if you want to count for it, you could count for a false break at $100, but it better bounce back up from the $100. If it doesn't, you're looking at bad news. Maybe if you want to be like somewhat kind of optimistic to the downside, thinking that maybe even it goes a little bit lower, it'll still bounce up, but like 97 would be the most lowest. There's support at $97, and breaking that would be, I think it's already dramatic breaking $100, but 97 breaking that would be even worse if you're thinking it's going to bounce off to the upside for that. So hopefully it goes up overall. Hopefully everything goes well. But that's pretty much it for the video. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. If you did like the video, consider dropping a like. It does help out the channel. If you do like videos like these and other stock videos, consider subscribing. It does help as well. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. And that's pretty much it. Thanks again. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.